and welcome to Extraordinary People in an Ordinary World. I'm your host, Beth, and I'm an ordinary person amazed by the extraordinary people surrounding us. This podcast is about people who live among us who are doing extraordinary things. You can expect to meet people from all walks of life doing things that may inspire you, make you want to change, or just simply sit back and delight in their stories. I have met the most extraordinary people in my ordinary world, and I am so grateful to have the opportunity to share their stories. Now listen in and enjoy. Your inspiration may be right here in this episode. Welcome to June's episode of Extraordinary People in an Ordinary World. I'd like to be able to tell you exactly how I met Suzie, but I'm not sure about our first meeting. It was a chance encounter on Facebook, on one of the pages that we both are on. And it's one of the good things that I do like about Facebook. You get to meet some extraordinary people, and Suzie's one of them. From the moment I started following her, her energy and her positivity called out to me, and I delved deeper. I saw she had a story, and I wanted people to hear it. A story not just about a cancer diagnosis, but how she took her life back and didn't let it define her, but she defined her life with a new outlook. So I'd like to welcome Suzie Rattie to the show. And maybe she can begin by telling us a little bit about herself and the person that she is now and the person she was before she received her cancer diagnosis. Welcome, Suzie.
Hi, thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Happy.
Thank you. It was kind of crazy how we met on Facebook. I was trying to think too which group it was, but honestly, I can't remember, but I'm happy that we did. I am 55. I am a mom of two boys, 22 and 26. I am a veterinary technician. I like to say I'm a veteran veterinary technician because I've been a tech for 36 years. So that's pretty much been my lifestyle. And, my cancer story started probably like 5 years ago. I never thought I would go back to vet med, but I recently did a year ago. So that's been like a little change for me, but a good change because that's all I know. And I was so happy to be back. But I'll let you kind of lead us into this and I'm ready to go.
Well, I'm in Jersey, you're in Indiana. That's what I found weird. We just started connecting. We just started talking and I kept seeing all these posts that you had about, I know that you say, like, you tell me like you don't always have great days, but you always seem so positive about things that I was like, wow, I just love her energy. I've got to interview her. So can you walk us, what was your life like before the cancer? Like what kind of life did typical every day?
Typical every day. I worked at the vet clinic. I worked 7 to 2, Monday through Friday. I pet sit dogs. I've been pet sitting dogs since probably about 25 years or so. So I've done that outside, in my house, as well as going to other people's houses. I was doing that before we moved to Indiana. So that was just a continuation. I kind of picked it up out here when we moved out here about 20 years ago. And I just was, doing my thing at my job. I used to be, very active with like doing dentals and surgeries and things like that. But over the years, I've had a couple of back surgeries, a couple of neck surgeries. So that kind of led me to upstairs at my job where I would do phone calls and kind of like be the nurse, if you want to call it, when you would call the doctor's office. That's kind of what I did. Okay. And that's kind of where I left off before the cancer showed up.
So you had a pretty active lifestyle. What was it that brought you to the doctor that you're like, something's not right? Let me see what's going on here.
I actually had, I had blood in my stool 2 times. I just happened to go to the bathroom. I saw blood in the toilet and I thought, oh, that's not normal. And then it happened again. And I thought, okay, that's really not normal. It was a one-time thing when it happened. And then that was it. No pain, nothing, absolutely nothing. Like if that never happened, I don't know what would have happened. But I'm glad it did show up. Honestly, hindsight's 2020, but I'm glad it did show up. So I actually reached out to my doctor because I watch her dog of all things. And she's like, you need to get into the colorectal surgeon like right away. She's like, that's not normal. Because I've had a hysterectomy 15 years ago. So we know it wasn't anything with that. And I was like, okay, so what are we dealing with right now?
Were you thinking more hemorrhoids? Maybe it was something hemorrhoidal or
Well, those were the 2 choices, hemorrhoids or a tumor. Now, being in vet med, of course, my mind always goes where the bad things go because that's just normal for us. So I was like, well, if it's a hemorrhoid, I'm like, I don't have any pain down there. So how can I have a hemorrhoid? They're like, oh, it could be internal hemorrhoids. And I'm like, Well, I've had 2 huge babies, and I know what hemorrhoids feel like. So this, like, I don't have nothing is feeling like that. Like, I feel completely 100% normal. If that never happened, I never would have known at all.
Yeah. Well, I
Mhm.
mean, goodness, right?
Yeah.
You had that
Yeah.
one son. They tell you go to a surgeon.
Yep.
Does he do
Yep.
colonoscopy? Is that how they find out the diagnosis?
Yes. He was still 50-50. He did go over everything. He said, it's either an internal hemorrhoid or it's a tumor. That's basically the only 2 things it could be. And then, when I go in, the nurses are like, okay, we're going to like go over everything just as if this is an internal hemorrhoid. You're going to wake up. It's going to hurt. Your bottom's going to hurt. Da, da, da. We're going to put these bands on them. And I'm thinking, I don't feel anything now. So in my mind, as I'm going under and waking up and I felt no pain, I kind of knew it was the latter.
Ugh. What was it like
So
to hear those words? Did they say it was a colon cancer or was it rectal cancer?
rectal. It was
Oh,
right inside. Their exact words were, it was like a half a centimeter, almost right inside the rectal verge. So it's just not so far that he could feel it with his finger, but
okay.
just right in, directly in there. But in
Interesting.
the same spot that the hemorrhoids could have been, but it
Yeah.
wasn't hemorrhoids. Mm-hmm.
So what was that like for the first time hearing that? You wake up and your husband was with you, I'm assuming, and the doctor told both of you this is rectal cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, we cried.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you're emotional. Even though like I know a lot of things, which almost makes it worse.
Right.
But hearing it was hard.
Hearing the words is hard. You can think
Yeah,
about it in your head,
yeah,
but what the doctor
yeah,
says, it makes it
yeah,
real.
yeah. It was real and it was hard because I had no pain. I had no pain. I had no that. I had this just that 2 bleeding episodes, and that was all. That was
Yeah.
it. No
What
bowel movement problems, no nothing.
Yeah, that's what I was
Well,
thinking. Did you have any diarrhea, constipation, anything like that? So
nothing.
when he tells you, okay, we did find rectal cancer, do they
Yeah.
know at that time, like what stage it was, what you would need to
No.
do? Did they give you options? So what was the next steps?
They so they took a biopsy so that we had to wait on the biopsy for the stage.
Okay.
But within minutes, probably we had CT scan set up, MRI scan set up, meetings with oncology, radiation doctor, obviously my colorectal doctor. And then it was, the first step was, see the oncologist to find out, what are we going to do? Are you going to do the port? Are you going to just do IVs? Are you going to take the oral pills? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? So the waiting part was finding what it was first, like what stage it was,
To find out your treatment.
to find out the treatment and then like plan of action and how they were going to go at it. Because some people go through chemo and radiation, then they have surgery, and
Okay.
other people have surgery first and do chemo and radiation after. In my case, my surgeon was like, we're going to do chemo and radiation, chemo first. I'm going to do a chemo radiation combo. Then we're going to do surgery. He's like, I don't care if we at the end of this, they do multiple scans at different stages to find out how are we doing. Is the tumor shrinking? He goes, even if it's completely gone, I'm still taking out your whole entire rectum and every single lymph node I see. It doesn't matter. He goes, leaving it there is just like waiting for something bad to happen. So I was like, okay, I trusted him. I have no other,
Right. But it's not, they were, I don't know, let's just say they're taking a lump out and that's it. They were taking your
they're,
rectum, which
they're
part of your elimination pattern. And at this point, you're going
correct.
to, you're going to have a change, a whole body image change from
Whole
here.
body change. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's presented to you as soon as, we talked about all that. He's like, this is what's going to happen. This is what we're going to do. The plan is to, you're going to have a bag. This is how it's going to work. We're going to leave it for so many months. We're going to test you again. And the goal is to have your pipes hooked up again and be normal. Well, let me correct that. Have the bag gone and be connected again. Normal wasn't really in the conversation because you're not going to be.
Yeah.
You're missing parts that are a huge part of, like you just said, eliminating.
Yeah. So
You know? Yeah.
I mean, you obviously survival's your first thing. You're thinking, I'm going to go through the
Oh yeah.
chemo, do the radiation. Now I'm going to be presented with a bag. It's hard. That's a hard thing to have to go through, is having,
Yeah.
the whole change and everything for you. So you say you have an ileostomy. but
I have an
most
ileostomy.
difference between an ileostomy and a colostomy. Can
Okay,
you?
so an ileostomy comes out of your ileum, which is your small intestine, which is before your colon. And your ileostomy is typically on the right side. If it's a colostomy, it's coming out of your colon, which is further down, and that is typically on your left side. And even with the elimination of stool, it's different for that as well, because a colostomy, you're going through your colon. Closer to your colon is more formed stool versus ileostomy, which is more of I say liquid, more
Yeah,
liquid than formed, just because of where it's at. It hasn't gotten down to the process of
right.
being formed.
So the
So
care of it is different and probably a little bit harder with an ileostomy.
because you're emptying a lot more. You're
Yes,
emptying it a lot more.
I can imagine that. Were there any, I mean, obviously it's a hard thing, but were there any particular fears that you thought about when you're like, oh, I'm going to have this ostomy bag?
Leaks.
Leaks.
And learning how to care for it. I mean, the nurses were pretty much emptying it for me at the hospital, and then you have like this ostomy nurse that comes in. Her name is Rose. She's still there, I think, at the hospital I went to. She comes and shows you how to do it, and then like before you go home, like you do it.
Mhm.
And I had my husband there too. I'm like, you need to watch this. We both know how to do it. I mean, it's not hard typically to what to do, but like everybody's body is different, and like you're swollen, you're not, and you have to get it to fit just right. I mean, you have to look at this as like a giant Band-Aid that's stuck to you,
Right,
that has to stay stuck to you, or else we all know what will happen.
right.
So, that's even to this day, it's still like, okay, am I good? Yeah, I'm good. So that's
Yeah.
always a fear for any of us. So
And then initially, first post op, you're going to be sore
learning, yes. Oh,
and
yeah.
you're going to need a lot of help from family.
Yep.
I have a family member that has a
Yep.
colostomy, and also they, needed help in
Yeah.
the very beginning, and it's a process.
Learning how to
Mhm.
learning what to eat, what not to eat, what was a good idea, what was a bad idea, how late should I eat, what not should it's still always a learning thing. Like I'd eat something and be like, yeah, that was probably not a great idea, but here we are. As long as there's always output, that's all that I care about. So
Yeah.
mhm.
When they said that we're going to put it back together, the piping, we're going to do that again.
Yes.
How long afterwards do they typically do that? And do they wait to make sure you're cancer free for a certain amount of time? How does that typically work?
So I had my big surgery in 2021 of October. I was reversed in March of 22. So no, I was not cancer free, but they were not seeing anything each scan I was having as well. So yeah, I mean, they weren't seeing cancer, but I wasn't cancer free, but they don't wait for that point. They just want to, if you're healed enough on the inside, they want to try to get you connected again on the inside to see how you do, because not everybody, it's not smooth sailing when that happens. For some, I believe that people without a rectum have a harder time than people that maybe have lost part of their intestine versus losing their pretty much holding that before they have a
Mhm.
bowel movement, so to speak.
Were you
That makes sense.
Was there any time where you thought maybe I should just keep the bag? I feel safer.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, I was like, he discussed things and he's like, well, he goes, and after I do this, you may have more frequent bathroom visits and you might have accidents and all these things. And I'm like, great, I'm going to be incontinent. And I'm like, not even 50.
Yeah.
That was my thing. Am I going to leave the house? Am I going to be pooping my pants all the time? I mean, honestly, that's what I was thinking. But he was completely honest. He's like, some people can get it managed with fiber supplements and all the things, and some people can't. And some people come back to the bag because it's just too much, And I was like, okay, well, I guess I can try. I mean, we have to try because I have no idea.
Mhm.
So, we tried.
So, I mean, we talk a little bit about the change in the body image and all that, but isn't there a lot of pain with abdominal surgery?
Oh, this was probably the most painful surgery I've had. It wasn't even the abdominal part of it because it was all laparoscopic and they did like almost like a bikini cut to remove my rectum, but your bottom,
It's
like the
sore.
pain in your bottom is like, it's like a very strange phantom pain that no drug can console.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. And with the surgery that we have, because it's a GI surgery, they can't give you really hard drugs because they will slow down your GI motility.
Yes.
So we're living on like Tylenol-based things. So it's
Mm.
not like, I think my husband at this time, he thinks back, he goes, I think you should have stayed in the hospital maybe like another day, getting like some IV drugs, just because there was a couple nights I was like hysterically like crying. Because I'm like, I don't know where this pain is. I've had my drugs. And
Wow.
it's a pain you can't get away from, but
Right.
it's like in your bottom, and it's just like, there's nothing left there, but there's some kind of a pain that you just like feel, and you can't fix it, and you
Mm.
can't get comfortable, and you can't. But that's, I mean, from what I had, people that have like what's called a Barbie butt surgery, where they literally have their rectum and anus removed, they have their whole bottom sewed up.
Oh,
That
wow.
is extremely painful too.
Mm.
So that lasted a bit, but I mean, that was probably one of the hardest parts of this
Yeah.
whole thing. That.
You said you had your initial surgery with the removal of the rectum
Mm-hmm.
in, that was
2021. Mm-hmm.
March. You decided to do the reversal. Take us through
Yep.
that system. What happened there?
So you get tested with these barium series. So they test to make sure, they look for what they call leaks. So they want to make sure you're not leaking any stool outside of said anastomosis site, meaning where they sewed you back together once the rectum was removed. They want to make sure there's no leaks there. So had all the testing done, just as equally fun as the surgery. But once that was done, they give you the thumbs up. Okay, hey, we don't see anything. All looks well. Okay, now let's go have the reversal. So you go in and you're like, yay, I'm going to have, then you're excited. You're going to get rid of this bag for a little bit. You're going to have this giant hole in your belly for a little while, but you're going to be pooping out your bottom again. And it's going to be good, right? Like you just assume it's going to be good, all the things, but you haven't had to use those muscles in 5 months.
Yeah.
So like it's almost like relearning the feeling of having to go, and you're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like I gotta go kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's weird. It was weird. Very weird.
I don't think anybody thinks about that part of it. Like you're not using those muscles anymore and
No.
had to think about it. And now you do.
And now you do, and you're like, woo, yeah, I remember that again, and then it's like, am I gonna make it? Am I not? And then it's like waiting to go home from the hospital because you have to go. They want to see you do something before you go, and I haven't eaten.
Right.
So I'm like, what do I eat? What do I eat to go? And you're eating hospital food. And I think I picked the worst thing ever. I think I picked like, it was a smash burger with like red roasted potatoes. I remember it tasted really good, but later on, it's probably not the best choice. But I made it home. That was all that mattered. But then it was just downhill for a while when I got home. But
after you had the reversal,
after I had the reversal, we go home and we're trying to. The reversal surgery itself wasn't painful abdominal wise. It was very weird to not have my bag because out of habit, we all, and I think everybody that I've talked to that has a bag is just always got their hand kind of just always feeling it. Is it full? Are we good? And like you're always going to put it there. Even after surgery, I would put it there even with the bandage with no bag out of habit. It was the weirdest thing. But painful, not terribly when I got home, but it was going to the bathroom again. That was terrible. That was hard.
Yeah.
That was hard because you haven't, like I said, you haven't gone out that way in a long time. And it just reminded me of my kids when they had really bad diaper rash.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can really like explain it. Like your stool is like burning your bottom.
Yeah.
I can't explain it. It's no different than your ileostomy. Your stool is very acidic. So it will, if it sits on the skin too long, it will burn. And so we had to deal with that for quite a bit. The first weekend home was rough. I didn't eat much and I lived in the bathroom. We lived on Imodium and Metamucil, and we didn't leave the house for probably 3 months. Really, I didn't leave because I was afraid to poop my pants. It wasn't a lot. I mean, that's just part of learning how to go again. And then I did. Then I was doing better. And we were like, okay, let's try to eat this food. And my husband would make me something. And he's like, how do you feel with that? And like, we kind of sit on it and be like, should we go anywhere? Should we not? Should we wait? And I remember there was a Bon Jovi concert he got me tickets to go to. And I was like, I am going to that concert. And it was in April. So it wasn't long after. It was probably weeks after I had my surgery. So he's like, I'm going to make you dinner. We'll make exactly what I know you can eat. We'll bring it with us. You can eat it at the hotel. I took Imodium before I went to the hotel. He had Imodium in his pocket. And I made it through the concert on just a lot of Imodium. And it was just like, okay, we made it to Indy, an hour and a half away. I'm like, I can do this. We can do this. It's always just like Do I have to go? Do I not have to? Do I have to go? Do I not have to go? Always finding the bathroom, always like kind of like just re-navigating things. And it's just not like, oh, I have to go. It's like, no, I have to go.
I
So
don't have a choice.
I don't have a choice and everybody would get out of the way. But we managed, we managed and we were doing good. Like we were doing good and we were doing better. And I was starting to eat different things and I missed salads. Like I missed, lots of veggies and things because I was living on very bland foods,
Yeah,
something to thicken my stools
right.
because anything else, you'd be in the bathroom all the time. So it was very, I worked with a nutritionist and she's like, try this, try that. And she goes, you're really not getting enough of this. And I'm like, I know, but if I eat too much of that, then if I eat all of this, I can go. If I eat too much of this, I don't go. It was my intake was not great, but neither was my nutrition just due to I was eating to survive enough to go to the bathroom and not have accidents. That's what
Yeah.
I was doing. That's what I was doing.
But you ended up having to have that reversed back to the ileostomy. What happened there?
I did. It was actually on time. I was doing really well. It was August. We had just gone home we drove back to Massachusetts for one of my husband's friend's 50th parties. We went down for the weekend, drove home, drove back. And I was having like this weird pain and I thought it was my back. And I thought, oh my gosh, what's wrong with my back? Because I've had back surgeries. I'm like, we can't have that. And I just reached out to my surgeon, never hesitated. I'm like, dude, something's wrong. Something feels funny. He's like, let's just do a scan. We're just going to do a scan. Let's just see what's going on. And he said there was some kind of a leak, he said. And I'm like, what do you mean there's a leak? He goes, I think there's like some kind of an abscess that's formed in like your presacral area. I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, like, there's a leak, like where you sewed me back together? And he's like, yes. Because that area was so incredibly hard to get to, they only go in laparoscopically and obviously surgically by where the bikini scar was, and then rectally as well. There's only so much room to get to that spot. So he knew he had a hard time to get at it. So I was like, okay, now what do we do? He's like, well, I think it's an abscess. I want you to start an antibiotic. So I'm like, okay, fine, I can do that. He goes, but we have to put a drain in. And I'm like, well, how are you going to put a drain in there? And I'm like, you know what? Don't want to know really. And then I'm like, no, I do want to know because I'm just medically like, I need to know. He's like, well, we're going to do a CT guided. You're going to be awake when we do this. You get some kind of conscious sedation, conscious sedation. And they put you in the CT machine and they kind of have a ultrasound kind of guided needle so they know exactly where they need to go. And they put a drain in my left butt cheek that went down into this presacral area and they kind of sewed it in and then had a bandage on it. And I had this bulb that I had to flush twice a day. And I was going to have that for a period of time until the infection was better. And then I was going to get it out. And that's where we kind of landed with that. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So that's the abscess that was draining into the drain though, right?
Correct. The abscess was going into the drain, but the abscess formed because of where I was sewed together. That leak had happened. So there's some infection had formed, but the only way to get to it is to try to take oral antibiotics and then get to the drain. So we started off with that.
Didn't work.
I was having issues with the first drain and then he wanted to put a second drain in. So luckily this time they only had to snake the second one through where the first one was. So that wasn't as painful. But after I had the second drain for a while, they were like, okay, I feel like we're going to try to remove it. Cause I think, I wasn't getting a lot of, discharge or anything in the bulb. Well, then both of the hole got infected. So he's like, Suzie, we got to put another one in, like another drain. And I'm like, it was so sore by that spot that it was infected. It was awful. I mean, like my husband was changing around the drain hole every single night for me. Well, cause I could do it.
Right.
And it was just like, it was just oozy. It was just, if you think of an abscess, it was just like kind of my skin was all infected on the top too. I was on a ton of antibiotics and I kept changing them because they kept upsetting my stomach. And then later, my stools weren't, good. And they were like, we want to test you for C. diff. And I'm like, oh, brother. So at that point, I was like, okay. So he's like, let's test you for C. diff. At that point, I'd also been in to see him after the third drain was put in. And he's like, okay. He's like, you do have the C. diff. So I wanted antibiotics for that. And I got the C. diff because I was on so many antibiotics for the drain in the first place. So not only am I taking more antibiotics more often because of the drain, but anyway, he's like, I want to go back to I want to give you the bag back. So we had a date set to give me the bag back. And I was like a mess. I didn't want to have the bag back again. And then I thought for a second. My husband's like, just wait a second. He's like, but look what now it feels like. Like, we're not having fun right now. Like, you can't do anything with this. You're just not having, this is not quality of life for you.
Right.
And I'm like, point. I said, you're right. It's not. So he said, the other thing he told me, he's like, the surgeon's like, I'm going to put you on something called a TPN. It's like total parenteral nutrition. Basically, he didn't want me to eat a lot of solid food to go by this abscess. So in addition to the drain I had a giant bag of like nutrition that was delivered to the house. I had to get blood work done like every week. I had a nurse that would come every week. She'd draw my labs. They'd send it in. They'd make the concoction of whatever my labs were showing of what my body needed. And I was on a liquid diet only. This was 3 days before Thanksgiving.
Oh,
And
wow.
we cooked Thanksgiving at my house. So I was on this TPN 24 hours a day. And that's how I was getting nutrition. I could have liquid stuff if I wanted to, but my stomach honestly hurt so bad from not having food in general that I
Right.
just couldn't even stomach like a popsicle or like put Jello, or I just couldn't do it. Like, it just hurt. You get to the point where even to this day, I still have a hard time if I even let myself get hungry, because it's almost like PTSD of like, you got so hungry, like you get over the hunger and then it's just like, then you're okay. And then your stomach hurts so bad. And then it's just like, okay. And then you just don't even think about it anymore because you can't eat anyway. But
Yep.
I got down to 130 pounds because all I ate was this TPN, or all I was getting was this TPN.
Yeah.
And we were just, just cruising along until December 19th. And that was going to be my surgery. So this is 3 days before Thanksgiving, we had the TPN put in. But come the end, probably beginning of December, I started to wake up in the middle of the night with these fevers, and I would wake up hysterically shaking, like horrible, like I couldn't stop. And my husband was taking my temperature and he's like, you have this ungodly fever. He's like, so we're calling the doctor, and he's like, we take Tylenol. We were rotating Tylenol and ibuprofen. And finally, my integrative medicine doctor, who was also my the doctor that got me into the colorectal doctor, she's like, you need blood culture. She goes, I think you're septic.
Gosh.
And I was like, well, that means I have to get out of bed and go to the doctor and get blood, or go to the lab and get blood drawn. So finally they called in the order for that. I get blood drawn. I dragged my husband drove me there because I was like, so no energy, no nothing. When you think about how much food gives you nutrition and energy, and when you don't have it, your whole body changes.
Yeah.
You're completely emaciated. Your skin is dry. I look like almost a 90-year-old lady. Like, my skin was gray. It was, and yep. And I still had the C. diff, and now I was going to have this blood work done. And the next day, it was getting near Christmas. It was December 10th. Jimmy's like, I'm going to go get some stuff at Cabela's. It's like an hour and a half away. I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? Just lay in bed. So I'm like, go. Who do you think calls me when he's not even 45 minutes out onto the highway? The hospital.
Oh.
They're like, Suzie, like, you are septic in 2 areas. Your port is septic, and you have some kind of a sub-Q skin septicemia somewhere. She goes, you need to get to the ER as fast as you can. And I'm like, well, I cried because I had nobody to take me at the time. So I called him and I was like, okay, the hospital just called and you need to turn around and we need to go to the hospital right now. And he's like, I'm on it. Turned around, drove me, got me into the hospital. And it was a big ordeal. I had C. diff. I couldn't, I couldn't go to any I couldn't go in any other restroom. I had to use the toilet they made me a makeshift toilet in my little room that they really didn't have because it was overbooked in the ER. They took my port out. Well, no, sorry. I lied. They took my TPN away. They got an IV going, and that was the start of my 10-day hospital stay. 12-day hospital stay, which led into my second surgery,
which was another
which was another ileostomy. Which honestly, at that point, I was like, I cannot wait for the 19th. I couldn't wait.
Did you
I couldn't
actually
believe.
on the 19th, or did they have to clear more infection before they were able to do
Nope,
it?
it was the 19th. It was the
Oh,
19th. They were giving me antibiotics. I had an IV in each arm. One was for the TPN, so I still had the TPN going, and then I had antibiotics and fluids in the other one
wow.
for 10 days because they wanted me. They debated sending me home, but they didn't think I was going to get enough nutrition. So I promised. I made a deal with them that if I drank 4 Ensures a day, that would be enough to keep me going, along with what they were trying to do to get me to my surgery, because my electrolytes were horribly off the. They
Yeah.
were all low. They were bad. They were giving me extra potassium. I mean, I wasn't eating any food.
Right.
So, I mean, and I was just like
And what
hanging on.
from the
Yeah.
TPN is helping to clear your infection. It's not an antibiotic, but that's your
No,
new.
it's basically
Yeah.
food. You're getting IV. That's
Yep.
how you're eating, is that's what they're doing. And they're giving you what you need according to what your blood work is saying.
High sugar water,
It's
electrolytes, nutrients, and stuff like that. But it wasn't
uh
helping you to bulk up. It was
no, it
really
was just it was basically keeping me alive until it was time to have the surgery. Yeah. So because I wasn't eating.
when when you look back at that, because you still have your ileostomy now.
Yep.
You'll
A second
never,
one. Yep.
you'll
I'm
never be able to reverse it.
The option was given to me
Okay.
to reverse it again before. Now, when I got home from the hospital from the second one, I'm sure my immune system was completely in the toilet and I didn't have one. And I got sick because I think the boys were sick. My husband was sick. Somebody was sick. So I got a cold and I was sick for probably a month, but I was coughing a lot, no matter how much I was like
Yeah.
holding my pillow to my belly. It didn't matter. I just developed a hernia. So I found out my surgeon was leaving to go to California, and I was devastated because I love him. And he said, um, I asked him, I said, will you fix this hernia for me? And he's like, I will. He's like, I want to give you the option to think about getting reversed again. And I was like, ooh, I don't know. And he said, I would send you to the Cleveland Clinic because he goes, I know some specialists down there that have, and I've talked to them about your case. And it was just a super low resection. It was very hard to close, and I was like, oh, buddy, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that again. I'm like, I rolled the dice with this one time and I almost died the first time. I'm like, I don't know if I want to do it again. And I'm like, I have a good quality of life now.
Hmm.
Like I don't have to run to the bathroom, so to speak. And I don't have to worry about, the things I used to worry about before. I'm like, I don't think mentally I can do that again.
Yeah.
So he agreed to he fixed my hernia, which that was a rough surgery in itself. I didn't think it was going to be that bad, but he and I talked after and he's like, I think you're right. He's like, I agree with you. He's like, I don't think we made a bad choice because once he did this, there's all this mesh and everything in the way of where they would need to get in and, unhook the pipes, hook the pipes back up. So he goes, that's going to be pretty much next to impossible to try to reverse this again. And I'm like, okay, I'm all right with it. I'm good with it.
So how do you get through that? Like, how do you rebuild your mental and emotional capacities after going through, I'm going to have it done, I reverse it, now I have to have it redone again? And you
I
go
think
through the and
this,
all the thing. How do you keep yourself motivated? It sounds like you had a lot of help from your husband.
I did.
Yeah, he
He
sounds
was,
like he's a good
he was
support.
amazing. He really was. I mean, he did things that probably no husband would ever have to want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, from drains to just watching you fade away to come back. Um, but yeah, I'm super thankful for him every day. And I think it really helped after because I was looking forward to it. I was looking forward to this bag because I knew I'd be on the other side of pooping all the time, honestly.
Yeah.
And my drain was gone. I woke up and I'm like, my drain is gone. Like that was huge because I still had that drain from whenever they put it in September, October. So I had the drain for like 3 months. So finally, when I had my ileostomy surgery, he pulled the drain out. So I woke up without that and I was like, oh God, this is amazing. Like
Yeah.
that was so like looking forward to that was huge. Like I
Right.
couldn't wait to eat. No, I didn't have to hurry and run to the bathroom.
Right.
So that is kind of like how I started, you know, and just having a lot of friends, meeting friends that have the same thing is how
You
we did
look
it.
support groups?
Facebook is how I met a lot of people. And we just kind of messaged and still do. Um, and just became, really good Facebook friends. We've talked on the phone. They were kind of going through stuff that I was. I actually have a friend that didn't get reversed because of what I went through, because she
Oh,
was too afraid. She was with me through my whole thing. She's like, I don't know if I want to get reversed after what you did. And I was like, I don't know, because I don't know your predicament, but
right.
she goes, I just watched you go through all that. She's like, I think I'm good. And her surgeon was fine. He's like, I'll leave you with that. And then I've had friends that have gotten reversed and did great.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Was it the location of their tumor? Was it, I mean, who knows what it had to do with what? But I know my location of mine was very difficult just because of where it was. And multiple times, I didn't even say this, multiple times in between all these drains and all these things, I had 2 specialists go in to try to suture that spot again, and they put crimp clamps in that spot again with this specialist that came in from Chicago. And he's like, oh, I do these all the time. And I'm like, all right, but you haven't been up you haven't been up my butt yet. And he's like, I have not. And then I woke up and I was like, oh my God, that was terrible. But he was like, that was tough. He goes, that was a tough spot to get into. But we were hopeful at that point that he did what he needed to do,
Mhm.
and that we were like semi-hopeful that, I could get reversed, but I still was like, whatever, do what you got to do. But I'm still like, I like where,
Yeah.
like where I'm at.
So I would describe you as positive and determined. You also seem to
Yes.
use humor to get you through things as well.
Yep.
Where does your strength come from?
I don't know. I mean, thinking about, I don't know. It's weird. The humor that we have, I think, as ostomates is kind of similar. I think everybody has a feeling of everybody poops, but we just poop out of a different hole kind of a thing. It sounds kind of crazy, but it's true. Like, everybody poops, I just poop
Mhm.
out the front and versus the back. And it's just part of my life, Some people show their bags, some people don't show their bags. I particularly don't show mine, not because of embarrassment, just because of kind of the way it sits. Some
Oh,
people's are higher up, so they can kind of hang out of their clothes if they choose to. I mean, just with my animals and watching dogs and things like that, I'm like, I just feel comfortable with it tucked away, because I know that, I mean, we can't have it coming off, and it can't, if it
right.
comes off, if it comes off, we all know what will happen. So I don't know, it gave me back my life again. So it's kind of like your pal in a way for
That's good
people that
at it.
it's kind of like my pal. I mean, we named him Dupree. If you ever remember the movie You, Me, and Dupree.
No, I've never seen that one.
It's with Owen Wilson, I think, and it was You, Me, and Dupree. It's like him. I forget who else was in it, and Jennifer. I think it was Jennifer Aniston, and I forget who the other guy was, but it was like Dupree was like the third dude. So my
Mhm.
husband's like, we should name him Dupree, like You, Me, and Dupree, because everybody names their stoma, everybody names their bag sometimes, but so we named him Dupree. So he's Dupree.
I want to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Calm Creations. If you like relaxing by the warm glow of a candle with the scent that brings back memories, I've got the perfect candle company for you. Calm Creations, based in New Jersey, makes high-quality, beautifully scented candles, and 10% of their profits go to benefit nonprofit organizations. Check out their amazing selection at calmcreations.com. And thank you for being a sponsor of Extraordinary People in an Ordinary World.
That is so good. But I honestly, even I say your positivity that you
Yeah,
have,
yeah.
also your humor, because even in the videos that you post on Facebook,
Oh
I
yeah,
get such a
kick out of it.
yeah, I get a kick out of it. And you have such a positive way of looking at something that not
Mm-hmm.
everybody can be like that. Because I mean, you belong to the support groups. I'm sure you see not everybody gets to the point that you're at,
Sure.
right?
Yep.
So
No,
you have,
yeah, not everybody. I mean, not everybody goes through what I went through, but I've met a lot of people that actually had a similar situation of had the bag, had to go back, had a bad infection, had to go back, and that's kind of like how you kind of bond with people too, because somebody's like, oh my God, that happened to you. I'm like, yeah, it happened to me. Did you have this? Did you have this? Did we do this to you? And they're like, how do you deal with it? And I'm like, I have to joke about it at this point because, God, you've been through hell and back, literally,
right.
and we're
Not,
alive to show it.
not to mention you had cancer,
And I had cancer.
right?
Yeah, we all and some people have ileostomies just because of, IBS, or they have, horrible celiac disease or about like some kind of bowel dysfunction. It's like, no, I had a tumor in my tush. And we can kind of joke about that. Like, there was a tumor in my bum. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just kind of happened. And then of course you're like, well, how did we get it? Then we start going down rabbit holes. I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter at this point how we got it. We got it. Just be thankful that it showed up when it did, because I was 49. I wasn't colonoscopy age, technically.
Yeah.
And I was a stage 3 already.
Wow.
At 49. And I thank God that the blood showed up when it did, because what if it never did? What if it was a stage 4?
Yeah.
What if nothing ever happened?
All of that
Yeah.
over these years, and you've been cancer-free since.
Yep. This will be, once I go for my scan in the fall, I will be, knock on wood, 5 years cancer-free, which is a good thing and scary thing, because that's at that point where your oncologist is like, okay, you are free to go. Like, you don't have to come see me anymore. And which is fine. I only see him once a year now, but it's almost like, I looked at Jimmy last night and I said, isn't it weird that like once I'm cancer free, like I don't have to see him anymore? But then on the other hand, you're like, but nobody's watching you.
Yes.
Like, nobody's watching your insides to be like, okay, that's looking fishy, but he always told me, he's like, if you want to come back and see me once a year, you can come back and see me once a year. He goes, but technically, he goes, you do not have to. But I'm sure I'll discuss more with him as far as like the fear of like, you're free, like you can go now.
I can imagine that part is hard, and it's become a part of your lifestyle.
Sure, because how am I going to know now that something's wrong until you look at pictures inside me?
Yeah.
And if I don't need one, I'm going to know,
Let me ask you this question. What are you most proud of in this journey that you've gone through?
I guess learning how to live with the bag, maybe. It's kind of second nature, honestly, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even really remember what it's like to go number 2 like normal people do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know. It's different. Like, you have your quirks and you have your things, and I'm always constantly like feeling my belly if we're at work and the girls are like, are you okay? Do you need anything? I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, how, and people always have questions. They're like, how do you know that you're going, or how do you know? I'm like, I don't, it just goes. Like, well, how do I'm like, you just go empty when it's full. I'm like, well, how do you know when it's full? I'm like, you feel it. I'm like, if it's heavy, I'm like, it's kind of like carrying a bag and it's hanging off your belly. You just, I don't know, you just kind of, it just becomes a part of you and you don't think twice about it and you just go about your day. But sometimes humor just gets you through because maybe somebody else is struggling.
I feel like you're probably a support to people in that support group, because you can bring that humor part to it.
Yeah, because some people really have a hard time. I mean, even if okay, let's go with, there's people that know they're going to get it, and there's people that have emergency surgery and don't know they're waking up to it. I think there's a big difference with that. I mean, both sides of not understanding what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, how do we deal with it? But to know you're going to get one is one thing, but to wake up and be like, what is that hanging off me?
Yes. And
some people waking up with like an NG tube going down their nose, and that's hard if you weren't ready for that. But you have to look at the bag as not a hinder. You have to look at it as, but everybody's okay. I look at it as this. I don't have a lot of issues with it. I don't have a lot of issues with leakage, knock on wood. I don't have a lot of issues with sores. I don't have a lot of issues with anything with it. So maybe I look at it differently, where someone who has trouble getting it to stay on, has trouble with leaks, has trouble with sores, has trouble with all those things, may look at it like, I can't stand this thing. I hate it. I want it off. I want nothing to do with it. And that puts you in a super negative mindset. But I don't blame them, because they're struggling, and they're like, you have to understand, this is like a giant Band-Aid that is holding in your stool, and it has to stay on 24 hours a day until you change it, however often you change it. I change mine, the full thing, twice a week, which is normal.
Yeah.
But
I think it's like you kind of told most of your story and how everything went. But if you were to say, this is how I want my story to impact others, what would you say? For anybody, not just somebody that had the surgery, just anybody in general. Because I think there's lessons to be learned from somebody like you
I mean, how would I say this? Like sorry.
No.
The bad times can't last forever.
it can't rain all the time. It's going to get better, even in the times when you were thinking it never was. I mean, there were times I would, just hug my husband and tell him that I just didn't want to do it anymore. Like, I just don't want to do it anymore. And he's like, you're doing it. We're going to do it tomorrow, the next day, and the next day. And he goes, you just have one job. And he goes, you just need to live. And I think he would just tell me that day after day. And, there were just days I was just too weak. I'm sitting in my bed right now. I'm looking at the bathroom. I was too weak to get to the bathroom. I couldn't take a shower myself. I just had no energy. But I kept trying to tell myself it's not going to last forever. Like one more day, like 24 more hours. I sat in my bed and I looked out the window. I just didn't have energy to do anything. But I knew that at the end of whatever the first goal was, that I was going to have this bag back on December 19th, regardless. And then before that, I spent 12 days in the hospital.
Yeah.
But every day I knew I was one step closer to getting the bag back, to getting my life back, to getting more energy, to getting out of bed, to walking the halls, to I would be jealous of just the nurses walking in and out, because I'm like, man, I'm just tired from walking around my bed to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I told myself, I said, when you can walk every day, but I still to this day, no matter what, every day, I move my body no matter what, because I can't. And I do it, even if I'm tired, even if I'm doing it, because there was a time when I couldn't. And I promised myself every day in bed, I would do it every day. And every day I walk 3.5 miles. I lift weights 4 days a week. And I don't look at it as a chore. I look at it as a gift, and I could do it. And then I'm alive to do it. That's how I kind of see it.
I think that's a way to look at things. I think,
yeah.
I'm kind of in awe of you, because you take something that some people kind of curl in a ball and be like, I just can't do this. I just can't.
There are days I just didn't want to, but my husband was like, nope. He's like, you're doing it. He's like, let's go. We're going to try to get you cleaned up. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You're going to come downstairs. You're going to come try to sit outside. You're going to try to, we're going to take a ride. We're going to do something. We're going to stick your head outside. He's like, every day you're going to do it. You're just going to do it every day. And I did, because I had to. And then every day I was in the hospital when I was sick was like, oh my God, it's just another day I have to, stay with it, stay alive to get through the end. And I'm like, every day was one more day closer to that surgery. And I just had to get to December 19th. And I did. And I did. And now I'm, I feel great.
Yeah.
Aside from my lip, this is like the best therapy session, Beth. I think this is like best therapy. So thank you.
No, thank you. I think you brought a great to people, not just anybody who might be going through a cancer or like you've gone through, but just to anybody to say you know what, just me being able to walk, that's actually a gift. Just me being able to get up out of bed and feel okay, that's a gift. People take life for granted.
Yes.
And I think when you go through something like you've gone through, you learn to appreciate those very, very...
You do. More so than you think. More so than you think. For sure. Yeah.
Is there any other message you'd like to leave with today?
Gosh, I don't know. Just take things one day at a time when you if you find out you're in a predicament like I was, and just listen to your body, listen to, pray a lot, pray a lot, listen to your doctors if it's a similar cancer story. Reach out to other people that have gone through similar situations, because honestly, your doctors really don't have any idea. Your nurses are amazing, but they have no idea what it feels like to have all these problems. They don't have a bag, never had a bag. Even the ones who take care of you don't know. The only people that know what's going through, what you've been through, is somebody that's been through it already.
For sure.
Those are the people that are the easiest to talk to, because they get it. Mm-hmm. It's easy for somebody to say, oh, and I feel something. Like, don't feel sorry for me. Like, don't feel sorry that I have this. This is like life-giving. This, I don't look at this bag as it's at the end of my life. I'm like, dude, this gave my life back. I can ride on the Harley. I can swim. I can go to the store without worrying about if I was going to poop my pants. Yeah. It's life-giving, and you have to, it's hard for somebody that's having a hard time to look at it that way. But if you could find one good thing that you that it's given back to you, I think that's the first step to being like, okay, body image, all those things. It's like, you know what? People show their stomas all the time when they're, on social media, like just trying to educate other people. And it's just, that's our life. That's just who we are. And some people are shy about it. Some people aren't. But the people that aren't shy about it are the ones that are like, you really helped me today. Like, I feel better now that I watched your video and, I joke all the well, I tell this, I do the stupidest reel sometimes, but sometimes it's like somebody's going to laugh at this because it's kind of funny. But it's just, it's humor. Humor is what gets us through it. I mean, sometimes it's really dark, horrible humor, but that's how we cope.
I'm going to
That's
put
how we get through.
Also in the show notes in case there's somebody out there who's like, you know what, I got to see this because you do have a way of being a really great way.
Yeah.
As we close today, I hope everybody carries with them the strength that you have, the incredible strength, and they take in your perspective a little bit. Your journey through cancer and multiple surgeries and learning to live is like a reminder about resilience and about you're not pretending that life is easy. It's about finding that you can find light, even on some of the darkest days, even on some of the toughest days. What makes you extraordinary isn't just what you endured, but it's how you continue to move through life with your humor, with your courage, and your hope. You remind us that while pain can change the course of our life, it also can deepen our appreciation for people and moments and the blessings that we overlook and the everyday gifts, the simple as they may be, even walking. So I want to thank you so much for being on the show and being my extraordinary person of June. I am so blessed to have met you.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad I got on here. And I'm so appreciative to you and letting me be myself and go through all the things because that's what it's about. So thank you.
Thank you for joining me on Extraordinary People in an Ordinary World. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Please share with a friend. If you know an extraordinary person, I would love to hear from you so that I can feature them on the show. Please email me at bethextraordinarypeople@gmail.com, or you can message me on Instagram at extraordinary_people_podcast. I look forward to hearing from you. And in the words of Saint Mother Teresa, not all of us can do great things, but we can all do small things with great love. I look forward to our next extraordinary person, the first Friday of next month. See you then.